Hello, everyone. My name is Prasamsha Shakya. I would like to welcome all of you for Australian Migration and Education Conclave 2022. And then in this session, we will be discussing about community service courses and its PR pathways. So to start with, community service is a work done by a person or a group of people that benefits other. Community service can help you any group of people in need, such as children, senior citizen, people with disabilities, English language learners, and more. There are hundreds of ways to participate in community services, depending on your skills and interests. So let's start the presentation. So to start with, why community service course? So there are lots of benefits. So to start with, it is one of the largest industry in Australia, helps in developing the skill to provide critical and direct support to individual groups and communities. As a community service professional, one can support individual and community well-being through care, support, education, welfare, and related services. You make a real difference to people's life. It is extremely rewarding career. Talking about the benefit of studying community service, there are many benefits of participating in community service. It gives you opportunity to know that you are improving someone's life, making your community better, and you get to see direct impact of your work. And some of the most important benefits are make a real difference in people's life. It has a permanent residency pathway, competitive earning opportunities and as compared to non-technical occupations, job variety, one qualification with different roles, flexible working hours and personal growth, structured progression and professional development opportunities, flexible working arrangement, diverse working environment, and job security. So talking about these community service courses, we do have variety of courses offered by various education providers. We have Certificate 4 in Community Service, Diploma of Community Service, Advanced Diploma of Community Service, Bachelor's of Community Service, Bachelor's of Applied Social Science, Specialization in Community Service, and Bachelor's of Human Services. Going further, there will be certain entry requirement to enroll for this course, starting from Certificate 4 in Community Service. The duration of this course varies from 6 months to 1 year. There are a few education providers such as Canberra Institute of Technology, ITEA, and TAFE. You can also do Certificate 4 in individual disability available at Equals, Southern Cross, GTI, Lead College, IHNA, Australian City International College. Fees varies from education providers to education providers, but then the start minimum will be $8,000 up to $14,500 for entire course. The other entry requirement will be English requirement. You need to have overall IELTS 5.5, no less than 5. The other course is Diploma of Community Service, one of the popular course amongst the international student. Duration will be minimum 1 year to maximum 2 years. Fee structure initially minimum $9,000 till approximately $16,000. 2 years course can give you 2 years course can give you skill assessment as community service and welfare worker. So, but then the course, you need to make sure that the course is accredited with ACAW. There are a few education providers such as Equals International, Acknowledge Education, Kangan, TAFE, Southern Cross, Australian Sovereign College, REACH, ETA, and many more. You can apply for post-study graduate visa for after completion of 2 years of study. So placements are usually part of their coursework. Course can be packaged with Cert 4 in disability. So there is an IELTS requirement of overall 6, less than 5.5. Moving forward to Advanced Diploma of Advanced Diploma of Community Service. One of the another popular course amongst the international student. Duration will be 1 year. The fee structure starts from $9,000 up to $16,000 approximately. There is a prerequisite requirement for this course. So you must complete Diploma of Community Service before starting advanced diploma of community service. We do have education providers such as Equals, Southern Cross, TAFE, ETA, REACH. Normally, if the student has enrolled for 1 year course, diploma, they package with advanced diploma course so that you can apply for post-study graduate visa for 2 years. There is an IELTS requirement of overall 6, not less than 5.5. So the other course is bachelor courses. There are various courses, as I've mentioned it earlier. We've got Bachelor's of Community Service, we've got Applied Social Science and Human Service, which is relevant for community service higher education. So duration of this bachelor's degree course will be for 3 years. Providers Equals International, Torrance University, Southern Cross Higher Education, Vauxhall Institute, Acknowledgement Education. Courses can be provisional or fully accredited. Fee structure starts from 9,000 to 12,000 per trimester or semester, but then all the education providers that we have, they are quite flexible on fee payment plans and all. There is an entry requirement of English overall 6, no less than 6. Requirements are pretty similar for all the offshore students as well. So need to have cognitive background or to start a diploma course. The exciting part for the international student, scholarship. So we do have education providers for certificate 4 and diploma courses. There are few education providers which are offering scholarship up to 10%. Accordingly, for bachelor's degree, some of the education providers are offering up to 20% scholarship. So talking about the career outcome. After completion of this course, you'll be ready to pursue rewarding career. You may work in many general and specialist area of community services, such as activism, advocacy, child protection, child and family support, community development, consultant, counseling, and many more. Further, if you have a qualified professional degree and if you already have some experience in the particular field, you can still work as community service worker, community worker, case support worker, child welfare worker, community services case management, career counseling, disability support coordinator, mental health coordinator, school counselor, or child protection officer. So discussing about employment opportunities here in Australia and all around the world, the healthcare and social assistant industry is the largest employee industry in Australia and has experienced continuous employment growth since 2001. In 2021, there were approximately 1.8 million people employed in this industry, which is projected to increase to more than 2 million by 2025. Community service related industries, sectors, and occupation from one part of overall health care and social assistance in industry. And after current pandemic, there are lots of opportunity in healthcare and social assistance sector. For future demand in the community service sector, the community service industry is experiencing a large of opportunities and challenges. Demand for services will continue to increase, and the workforce is expected to grow significantly in coming decades. Relatively large proportion, 44% of the community and personal services worker occupation are projected to have strong future demand compared with 33% of all occupation. The following table shows the actual data, whereas you can see there is a strong increment of 44% for future demand rating as a community and personal service worker. So talking about the future market, there is a demand. The demand for community and personal service worker is strong, which advertise vacancies, normal numbers of employment rising over the past few years. So in November 2021 was considered as the lowest month where a sharp decrease was recorded in job advertisement, whereas October 2021 was considered, 2021 was considered as highest. Despite of recording a fall in job advertisement in November, community and personal service workers have recorded the strongest increase in job advertisement over the 3 months since the Delta outbreak of COVID-19, up by 48.6%. 8,700 job advertisements were done at that period. Recruitment activities levels are most elevated for laborers, community, and personal service workers. So the demand and supply, as I've told you, like demand of community and personal service worker is very strong, with advertised vacancy numbers and employment rising over the past year to historical highs. The number of advertised vacancy are these workers rose strongly over the year to the highest recorded level one. Employment in education and personal worker occupation are increased over the year to May 2021 to above the pre-pandemic level too. So if we check for the individual states advertisement, which was done for community service worker, as per the research, it shows for New South Wales, there was 44,000 advertisement was done pre-COVID, and current status shows 8,800. Whereas in Victoria, there was 3,600 advertisement were posted pre-COVID, as in now it's 7,800. South Australia, 740 advertisement were published during COVID, pre-COVID, and current status shows that 1,400 advertisement were published for community sector. Accordingly, in Tasmania, it's also increasing from 150 to 350, ACT 160 to 590, in Queensland 2,300 to 5,300, and in Western Australia 1,200 to 2,300. So 2,300. So it means that there are various opportunities and there are various uh, employment opportunities coming up in near future. So if you're interested and if you are aspiring student, want to study, want to make your career in community service, you can keep in touch with us in any of our Aussizz Group branches. So we have attractive giveaways for you. Please give a shout out about the conclave session in the link provided below and in chat box by tagging Aussizz Group, Aussizz Conclave 2022 to win exciting offers. So I'll be handing over this floor to Mr. Suman Casey. He will be providing some information about the PR pathways in community sector service. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So my name is Suman. I'm a registered migration agent, and thank you, Ms. Prasamsa, for providing the comprehensive information about the community services and its PR pathway. So we have will cover entry requirements, tuition fees, and also the course procedures, and also the benefits of studying the community services. So now I would like to share my screen. So okay, so we are going to cover popular occupations after studying community services, and I'll be discussing about the PR pathway. And at the end of the session, then we'll take the question and answer sessions. Okay. So once you study community services, then there are like 7 occupations you can think of in terms of the PR pathway. So they are welfare center manager, welfare worker, community worker, disability services officer, family support worker, residential care officer, youth worker, etc. So out of these occupations, only welfare center manager is on a medium and long-term list, and rest other are short-term list. So this table shows PR pathway and process. So we have a general skill migrations in one side, and we have a employee sponsor visa in other side. So in the general skill migration, there are 189, 491, and 190 visa subclass. In the employee sponsor visa, there are 482, 494, and 186 visa. So to make the clarity, I have divided the steps into 5. So first step is skills assessment. Second is lodging EOI. So in the lodging EOI stage, we will be collecting your points. So for the 189, you will be eligible to apply for the EOI on 65 points. For the 190, you will get the 5 points from the states, and for the 491, you will get the 15 points from the states. So now third step is you need to meet the additional criteria of the states. So every state, they have a different requirement for 190 and 491. So step 2 and 3, lodging your points and the requirements, they go together. So if you have, let's say, like if you have 100 points, but if you are not meeting the additional criteria of the states, then you are not going to get invited. So you need to look what the state they want. every state they have a one different criteria for the 190 and 491. And once you meet the criteria, then you wait for the invite, and then in the step 5, you lose the visa. Whereas in the employee sponsor visa, so skill assessment is not mandatory for 482. It is only mandatory for 186 and 494. So while you are collecting points in the general skill migrations, in the employee sponsor visa, you will be collecting your experience. So let's say, for example, if you have a 2 years of experience, then you can apply 482. If you have a 3 years of experience, then you can apply 186 or 494. So in the step 3, in the employer sponsor side, then you need to find an employer, and they will lodge the standard business sponsorship and nominations for you, and then you will be lodging a visa applications. So now first step, which is skills assessment. So authority for the skill assessment is Australian Community Workers and Association, which is ACWA. So for the occupation of welfare center manager, so you need to have a relevant qualification which is comparable to equivalent to the bachelor degree or above. So examples of qualifications which have been found to be relevant in the past include master's and bachelor's degree in community services, welfare, human services or social work, bachelor of community mental health, master of health services and management, master degree in community development, master degree in sociology, master of public health, MBA plus diploma in developmental studies, and master of science knowledge management plus diploma in social science. So any qualification with less focus on welfare and community services provided by enough amount of relevant work experience will be assessed on case by case basis. So once you have a qualifications, then you also need to meet the English requirements. So you can meet the English requirement by any of these 3 ways. So number 1, you can get IELTS 7 or PT 65, or you can also show that you have completed bachelor or higher degree from a country with the English as a main language. So it can be any degree. Let's say, suppose, for example, if you have completed master in accountings, and then there is no PR pathway, so you can study you study a bachelor in community services, and then you don't need to give exam because you already studied in from the Australia. Or you can also show that you have a 2 years of relevant industry experience in an English-speaking country. So English-speaking country means Australia, United Kingdom, Ireland, United States of America, Canada, and New Zealand. So once the English requirement is met, you also need to have there is also the employment requirement for the occupation of welfare center manager. For the welfare center manager, because the occupation is on a long-term list, so you will need a 3 years of full-time work experience, and out of which 1 year must be as a welfare center manager. And 3 years of employment can be within 5 years, but 1 year of experience as a welfare center manager must be within 2 years. So for the Australian Community Workers Association, for the skill assessment purpose, so paid employment of 30 hours is a full-time work every week. Now moving forward, so another occupation is welfare worker, and the qualification can be one of the following. So you can study ACWA accredited qualification, which is diploma or higher, or you can also have a recognized qualifications. When a qualification is recognized, that means it is not accredited to ACWA, but it is at least bachelor degree, or you have a community and human services focus in the course, and must be professionally accredited in a country of your study. And you can also have your relevant bachelor degree or higher. So relevant bachelor degree means a qualification which has a strong focus in sociology, social, political, human development, work with individual, families, groups, and communities, child development, social justice, and child protection, mental health, etc. So once you have the required qualifications, then English, again, the English requirement, there will be English requirements. So English requirements for all the occupations, they are same. So IELTS 7 or PT 65, or you show that you have completed your study from the bachelor or higher study from the country with a country English is the main language country, or you can show that 2 years of relevant industry experience. And for the welfare worker, if you study ACWA accredited qualifications, you don't need any work experience. So because the qualifications are deemed to have a sufficient industry, industry experience through the field placement requirements. Or if you have a relevant bachelor degree, then you need a 3 years of full-time industry experience within a 5 years, within a 4 years for the welfare worker. So another occupation is community worker. So qualification can be ACWA accredited qualification, which can be diploma or higher, or it can be a recognized relevant qualification. Again, it can be it has to be bachelor or higher degree, and the course must have a community and human services focus, and it must be professionally recognized in your country of study. Or your qualification can be relevant diploma, degree, or higher. It means the qualification related to community services and which has a strong focus in community services, sociology, social, political, human development, work with individuals, families, groups, communities, child development, social justice, child protection, mental health. English requirement is same for all the occupations, again 7 or PT 65, or you show you have completed study in English language country, or you show that you have a 2 years of relevant experience. And again, employment requirements, if your qualification is ACWA, then you don't need to have so any work experience requirement. Or if you have a relevant diploma, which is not accredited, then you need a 1 year of full-time experience within the last 4 years. So another one is disability services officer. So qualification, now the qualification has to be accredited and it has to be specialized in the disability services. Or in number 2, relevant diploma or higher with specialized disability services will be acceptable as well. So if you have, let's say, like if you have studied a diploma in disability services, which is not accredited, then your qualification can be a relevant diploma degree. And also you can also get your qualification can be relevant qualifications. Suppose, let's say, like you don't have any specialized qualification, it's just like a community services, and the qualification which have a strong focus in community services, political, human development, work, individuals, families, groups, etc., will be considered for these occupations. Again, English requirement is same for all of this. And with the employment requirements, your qualification has to be, if your qualification is accredited, then you don't need any experience. Now, if you have a relevant or higher degree with the disability specialization, then you need a 1 year of full-time experience within last 4 years. Or if you have a relevant qualification with non-specialized, let's say, for example, bachelor of diploma of community services, then you will need a 2 years of full-time to get the skill assessment under these occupations. Of family support worker. So again, the qualification can be ACWA accredited with the specialized in family services with children and families, or it can be relevant diploma or higher with specialized in family services with children and families, or it can be a non-specialized qualifications with a strong focus in community services. And the English requirement can be again same. So the English requirement, they are same for all the occupations, 7, IELTS 7, PT 65, or you've completed study higher bachelor or higher from the country with English as its main language, or you saw 2 years of relevant experience in the English speaking country. So you can meet English requirement by any of these following ways. With the employment requirements, so now if your qualification is ACWA accredited, then you don't need any work experience because courses are deemed to have a sufficient industry experience through the placement requirements. Or if you have a just relevant diploma which is not accredited, then you will need a 1 year of full-time experience in a family support setting within the last 4 years. Or if you have a just relevant qualification with non-specialized, then you just need a 2 years of full-time experience in a family support setting. Now, another one is residential care officer. So qualification can be ACWA accredited with the specialized in residential care services, health and well-being, disability services, or youth work. Qualification can be relevant diploma with specialization, or it can be a relevant qualification with a strong focus in community services. English requirement, again the same thing. For the employment requirements, if ACWA accredited, then you don't need any work experience. If you have a relevant diploma, then you need a 1 year full-time. If you have a relevant qualifications, then you need a 2 years of full-time experience in a residential care services setting. So another one is youth worker. Again, qualification can be ACWA accredited in youth work or relevant diploma specialized in youth work, or it can be relevant qualification with non-specialized. English requirement, again the same. And in the employment requirements, is if your qualification is ACWA accredited, then no need of any experience. If you have a relevant diploma or higher, then you need a 1 year of full-time experience. If you have just relevant qualifications with no specialization, then you need a 2 years of full-time experience. So now we talk about the step one, which is skills assessment. So once skills assessment is done, then you have to lodge your expression of interest. So in the step two, you will be lodging your expression of interest, and then you will be claiming the points on the various categories. For example, for the age, English, skill, employment, education, Australian study, or if you have any special qualifications like science, technology, engineering, management, or if you have a NATI, no PY for this occupation, but regional study, then you'll get the 5 points each. Or if you have a partner, depending upon whether you have a partner or if you have a partner with a skill assessment or with just the English, then you will also get the points. So after lodging your EOI, then you need to see the additional requirements of the states. So I have I have divided all the occupations and then also listed all the states. So as you can see that we are still waiting for the new occupation list for the NSW, South Australia, NT, QLD, Victoria, and Tasmania. So you can see all the occupations related to community services, they are very popular. So they are available all the states. So they were available in all the states, but even in the new list also, we are expecting they will be there. So these occupations are really, really very popular in terms of, in terms of the PR. Now, next thing is, I mentioned you before, like once you have a points, then you also need to consider what the NSW require, what Victoria require, what the ACT requires. So you need to consider what they need it. Then you can only get invitations. So for the NSW, they have a 190 different criteria and the 491 also different criteria. So every state they have a 190 and 491 different criteria. So we are waiting for the 190 list, but in the last financial year, all the occupations, all the occupations related to community services, they were in the list. And all the occupation except welfare worker needed 3 years of experience. That's why only welfare worker did not have a 3 years of work experience requirements. That's why we have seen an invitation as low as 70 points in the 190 from the NSW. Again, we are waiting for the 491 list. So in the last financial year, there were 3 streams. So stream 1, stream 2, and stream 3. So stream 1, you're living and working in the regional for minimum of 3 years, 3 months. Or stream 2, you have recently completed a study in the regional NSW and have a skill assessment from that study. Stream 3, you have a skill assessment in an occupation requiring an NSW regional. That's the 3 streams for the 491, but we are still waiting for the update. Victoria, again, we are waiting for the update. So in the last financial year, so they were only inviting applicants who work in a Victorian target sector like health, medical research, life sciences, digital, agri-food, advanced manufacturing, new energy, emissions reduction, and circular economy and creative industry. The criteria for 190 and 491 were the same, and we are still waiting for the 491 update as well. Canberra, so yeah, we have got the updated from Canberra. So all the occupations are in the Canberra. So you need to, if you are targeting for 190, then you must have lived in Canberra for 6 months and have worked for 35 hours every week for continuously for 26 weeks. And you need to apply for the matrix. So highest matrix will get the invitation. And also for the 491, you just need to stay there for 3 months and have worked for 20 hours per week for continuously for 3 months, and you apply for the matrix. So all the occupations they are in the ACT critical list, and it is also available for the offshore candidate as well. So for that one, if you want to apply for the 190, you need to have an ACT job offer and you apply through the Canberra matrix. Or if you want to apply for the 491 from the offshore, you need to have a 3 years of full-time postgraduate experience. Now, Western Australia. So Western Australia have a 3 different pathway: Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and for the graduate list. So all the occupations like welfare center manager, welfare worker, community worker, disability services officer, mental health only, family support worker, residential care officer, youth worker, they are in the graduate list only. So when the occupation is in the graduate list, then you need to study 2 years in the Western Australia and get the 6 months of work or employment contract. The criteria for 190 and 491, they are the same one. NT, which is Northern Territory. We are waiting for the updates, but in the last financial year, they were graduate pathway and other residence pathways. So for the graduate pathway, if you have finished 2 year study in NT and have lived there for 6 months after your course completion on a full-time work, right? And also like you need to show that evidence that you have done genuine efforts to get the employment, then you will be eligible for the 190 through the graduate pathway. For other residents, so let's say like you are not the graduate of NT, but you want to go to NT, then you need to have a 2 years of experience in the NT. 2 years means full-time experience. For the 491, again, you need to study 2 years in NT, and if you are unable to leave 6 months after the study, or you don't have a full-time work right after the completion of study, then they will give you the you will be eligible for the 491 in the NT. So applicants living in NT after the 1st of July 2022, if you want to go through the working pathway, then you need to have a 6 months of full-time employment in your occupation, and you also need to stay there for 12 months plus before getting invited. South Australia, we are waiting for the update. So in the last financial year, they were South Australian graduate pathway and also the currently working pathway. So in the graduate pathway, so you need to study at least 46 weeks, Cricus registered course, and finish at least 50% of your course in the South Australia. Let's say like if you have completed 1 year of study here, and then if you want to go to the South Australia, then you will be completing 50% of course in South Australia. So for that, you need to have a either get the GPA of 5 or have a work experience of 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, depending upon the occupations. And there is also the currently working pathway in South Australia. So each occupation have a different work experience requirements. It can be 6 months, 12 months plus, or 18 months plus. And we need to see each occupations for the like whether they need a 6 months or 12 months plus. So for the 491, the criteria are same in South Australia, but there is one additional criteria. You can get the 491 in South Australia, South Australia if you are working in any occupation outside of regional South Australia for 12 months plus. Queensland, we are waiting for the update from the Queensland for the 190 and 491. So they have a skilled worker pathway and graduate pathway. For the skilled worker pathway, you need to have 80 points in your EOI, have an English proficient, or 6 months of full-time employment. Or for the 491, you need to have minimum of 65 points in EOI, have a proficient English, and 3 months of full-time employment in the regional postcode. And there is also graduate pathway in Queensland, and it is also only available for PhD graduates for 190 and 491. For the master and bachelor degree graduates, they only you will be only eligible for the 491, and for that you need to have a proficient English plus 3 months of employment in your occupations. Tasmania, we are waiting for the updates for the Tasmania. So in the last financial year, so they were a graduate pathway and working in Tasmania pathway. So for the graduate pathway, if you complete 2 years of study and have lived there for 2 years, then you could be eligible for 190. If you have completed 1 year of study, then you are eligible for 491. And working in Tasmania pathway, so if you work 6 months full-time job in the TSOL list, so most of the occupations were in the list. For example, welfare center manager, disability services officer, community worker, residential care officer. So if you had a job of 6 months full-time job in the in Tasmania, so you were eligible for the 190 in the last financial year. For the 491, 6 months of full-time employment in any occupations, which can be like skill level 1 to 3 for the 1 to 3 or 3 months of employment in TSOL. So you were eligible for the 491 in the Tasmania. So there are also the family in Tasmania pathway. So if you have a direct family members who are PR citizen and is currently residing in Tasmania for at least 12 months plus, you could be eligible for the 491 under the family stream. There is also a small business owner stream. So you need to show the evidence that business has been operated for at least 6 months and is capable of giving a personal income of at least $50,900 for 3 more years. So you can see community services is the really good occupations you can think of. There are so many reasons why you can choose this career. So the first thing is invitation happening at lower points as compared to other occupations. And there is a high job growth sector due to with more funding from the NDIS and other states government. And the occupations are listed as a critical service sector and funded heavily by government. And it's also easy to get the job due to at entry level due to low barriers and high staff turnaround and rewarding career with a good pay, skills, and growth opportunities. Working with disabilities and or disadvantaged people, giving you the community services. So Aussizz group offices can help you with the admissions in a similar courses, or if you have already graduated, then we can help you with the PR pathway and process. So now we can take the questions. So if you have any questions, then please drop your questions. Then we'll be answering your questions. Okay, so I've got questions from Almain. So she's asking, done my study from South Australia from Finland's Master in Social Work, assist by degree as a community social worker, ACW, and is deemed suitable, currently working as an employment consultant. Course in work skill, Australia employment and community services, and unemployment this. Okay. So what pathway do we have? So you have got the already skill assessment, right? So South Australian. So as you mentioned that you are a graduate of South Australia, then have you if you have got the GPA of 5 and over, then you will be eligible to apply for the South Australian graduate. If you are not, then you need to have at least 6 months or 12 months plus. So your work experience has to be assessed by ACWA to find out whether you are doing the at a skill level or not.
Suman, yeah, we've got another question from Ramandeep. So she said that I have done Masters of Accounting and now I want to do Diploma of Community Service from ACWA. Will I need a work experience?
Okay, so if you want to study ACWA accredited courses, then you don't need any experience because for the skill assessment purpose, if your qualification is accredited, then you don't need any skill assessment person. You also get the exemptions for the English requirement because you have done a master from the Australia.
Oh, good. So we've got another question. It's from Basunda Gupta. So he's asking, as I'm doing Diploma of Community Service from Scott College, with is provisionally accredited, will it affect the work experience requirement for me as my college is not fully accredited?
Okay, so STARS College is provisionally accredited, and then if you see go to the ACWA website, so they are accepting provisional accredited as well. So you need to go ACWA and find out. If they reject, then of course you need at least 1 year of experience. Sorry, Prasamsa, you are on mute.
Sorry, yes. So we've got another question from Ali. I have completed MPA and have skill assessment in same occupation, but recently I have started working in aged care community center. Can I apply for any PR visa in future?
Okay, so you are working in the aged care. So basically, you in the normally in the aged care, the duties they won't be as required for the occupation like welfare worker or disability support worker. So you need to have a relevant qualification to get the skill assessment. So I suggest you to I know like you have done a MPA, so I suggest you to study the community services so that you have another occupations ready, and then once you find a job or if you study the accredited qualification, then you don't need any job. Then your PR pathway will be a lot easier.
All good. Yeah, let me check. So I've got another question from Almin S. Done my study from South Australia from Flinders University in social work, assessed by degree as community worker from ACWA, and it deems suitable, currently working as employment consultant coach in WorkSkill Australia Employment and Community Service as NPO working for Department of Employment Skills and Education. So what pathways do I have either for 190 or 491?
Okay, so being a South Australian graduate, so you have a two pathway. One by from getting the GPA 5 or above, or working in your occupations. So because because you need to have your duties at a required level. So you need to have a skill assessment for your occupation as well. Then you have a two pathway from that work as well.
Okay. So another question that we have from Sanya. I have completed my diploma in community service. So do I have to do bachelor's or can I apply for PR?
Okay, so is your qualification accredited or not? So that depends upon that one. If it is accredited, then you don't need to do any bachelor or anything. If not, then in qualification wise, you have the qualifications. For now, if it is not accredited, then you need a 1 year of experience.
So we've got
So
another,
if you have
sorry.
a accredited qualification, then the skill assessment will be a lot easier.
Yeah. So we've got another question from Rajkumar Sahani. Do we need job contract community services or not? So I think he meant to say that do he need any job offer or contract paper from the employer to process for community service worker? The question is not clear.
Okay, for the
So
skill assessment, it depends, like I'm saying, it depends upon the qualification that you are holding. If your qualification is accredited, then you don't need any job contract or anything else for the skill assessment.
mm,
For the requirement of the states, yes, not only job contract, but you have to actually be working in your occupations depending upon which states you are.
yeah. So let So I've got one question from Anjana. I have completed my diploma in community service in South Australia. So do I have to do bachelor's or can I think that's the same question you've already answered.
No, you don't
Yeah.
need.
Mm-mm. So I've got one last question. I'm currently working as a disability support worker and studying the community service. Am I eligible to apply for PR when I'm done with the course?
So can you read the question again?
Sorry, yeah, it's I am currently working as a disability support worker and
Mhm.
studying community service.
Okay. So
Am I
again,
eligible to apply for PR? Yep.
so if are you studying accredited course or not? Right? If you are studying accredited courses, then you don't need to show any work experience. If not, then your employment as a disability service support worker may not be at a required level. So you need to work in a proper disability services settings.
Yeah, so I think that's the question. So, guys, if you have any questions related to community service, we're still here to help you out. So just pop in your questions and then we can respond it to you.
Yeah. So guys, you can ask um, any question regarding education or any question regarding migrations. We'll be answering your questions.
We've just received one question. It's from I don't Damaso. So he said that what are the possible occupation for community service?
Okay. So now I would like to share my screen again. And then, so possible occupations possible occupations are welfare center manager, welfare worker, community worker, disability services officer, family support worker, residential care worker, youth worker. If you have any specialization, then depending upon your specializations, you can have your PR pathway.
There's one more question. It's from Malshani. I have done my bachelor's of community service in Victoria. Currently, I'm working as a support worker. Can I apply sponsorship visa for my workplace?
Okay, Bachelor of Community Services, right?
Yes, in Victoria.
Okay, so welfare center manager is only the occupations is on a long-term list. So for the welfare center manager, you have to have to have a 3 years of experience to have a skill assessment. Or for the 482, you need to have a 2 years of experience. So if you are working as a support worker, then you may not be eligible for the sponsorship option. You can have a sponsorship under the 482 in the short-term list, but that will not lead you the PR.
So thank you for all the participants for attending this session. If you have any questions or any queries, you can feel free to contact any of our Aussizz group branches. Thank you.
Thank you.